Welcome to lesson linguistically more assertive than we are right now. First, you should start by analyzing your own behavior. Uh, it could be easy to identify at which level you usually switch to the dominant language. Do you do it directly when you think someone has not the physical appearance that make you think they are not one of your minority language speakers, whatever this appearance might be? Or uh, will you do it when someone tells you what or sorry or I beg your pardon? Uh, do you switch to dominant language when someone is speaking your language but you realize they are not native speakers? When someone talking to you says they don't speak your language, although they have been understanding you? Or do you change when there is a specific request to do that? So that would be an interesting point to start with your assertiveness training. Uh, have a look and think carefully, when do you switch into the dominant language, in which kind of opportunities you do that. Second step would be to design alternative strategies to your usual behavior, the one you want to change. And in these and subsequent lessons, you will learn some resources to do that. But right now, we will start by learning two very simple ones. The first one is called pole position, and the second one is the practice of bilingual conversations. Pole positions is a very simple thing. When you get into a shop or a place in which there are other people and you don't know how many of them are speakers of your own language, you should start by speaking first and greeting them, saying good morning or good afternoon in your own language and very clearly. Uh, Quite often, minority speakers tend to use ambiguous greetings such as hi, um, but this is worse because that way most of them will understand that you are speaking through the dominant language. While if you greet them in your own language, the other speakers will reveal themselves and you will know how many of them are speakers of your own language. So that's a very easy resource that you can use to identify other minority speakers when you get into a group of unknown people. And the second one is something you should do regularly, is to practice bilingual conversation. Do it with a friend, with someone that knows about your objectives, and play it like a game. The only rule is you should speak a different languages. Meaning, for example, if you are a Welsh speaker, you can use English and Welsh, and you should switch languages from time to time, every few minutes, until it becomes more natural than it looks to you right now. I can tell you that when the two languages are comprehensible for each other, it can become very natural to be speaking your own language when the other one is speaking a different one. Of course, when you are willing to change a habit, you have to go at least momentarily outside of your comfort zone. And more than unknown people, most of our relationships, most of our talks are with people that we already know. We already have a relationship with, acquaintances, job mates, neighbors, etc. Some of them, or maybe many of them, might have been going on through the dominant language, but maybe you know how many of them would be able to speak or at least understand your minority language. Making a list of these people would be interesting for you right now. Then the next step would be to formulate an assertive demand to switch into the minoritized language. So let's say you've identified someone who's able to speak your own minoritized language, although you have been communicating through the dominant language for years, let's say. So you've got to select the time and opportunity to bring up the issue. It's not believable that you will just start speaking a different language without a previous explanation. Then you've got to prepare your argument always based on fully subjective reasons, and that's very important. Reasons such as I would prefer, I would like, I would feel better if, or whatever, which is fully subjective. The third step would be to present it in a way that highlights the more positive elements. Here you've got an example. For example, you could say, I'm used to speak Welsh with people I respect and love, and I would like to do the same with you. That would be a positive way to present it. There are many others. It's up to you to find them. Then the fourth step would be to ask them, after having proposed this, to ask them what they think and to listen to their answer. This is not an ultimatum. This is a deal, a negotiation. So you've got to listen at what they have to do. And previously to that, you should have predicted their probable answers and be prepared for that, because you're likely to find some resistance there. So be ready for a viable compromise, a negotiated compromise. For example, it's quite usual for people to say, I think we would feel a little bit uncomfortable if we change languages right now. So be prepared for that and just acknowledge that. And for example, you can say, okay, we could try for a week and then reevaluate if we are feeling really uncomfortable. So to summarize, the characteristics of an assertive demand would be, it has to be formulated in the first person, like I would prefer, I would like, and use only subjective reasons. It is not an ultimatum, it is a deal, so you've got to ask them about their view. And you've got to prepare some kind of response prevention. So you've got to anticipate what kind of difficulties the other individual might come up with and then be prepared for that. And in the end, you look for a viable compromise. For example, in the end, you could compromise to speak your own language and accept answers in the dominant language. Here you've got an example with Dutch and Frisian. You could say something like, I know we've been speaking Dutch since we met, nevertheless I would like it very much if from now on we switch into Frisian. How does it sound to you? And then if they come up with the typical argument of feeling uncomfortable, then you can say, you might be right. What about we try for 1 week and then we assess how it's going? So if this leads to a viable compromise, then you've got it already. And then we'll finish with a third resource, which in my opinion will be very useful to you when you're trying to change your language selection habit into your own language. And it's just to keep track of your progress. So linguistic assertiveness is a journey. It's not something you will get from today to tomorrow. So habits cost a bit to change, and behavior tracks make it easier to visualize and keep tabs on your progress. So you just have to register when and where you're able to hold on your language. So you might include a brief description of the situation. You might also register which resource you have used in order to know which of them are more effective. And also you can register the degree of effort it has supposed for you, and even some observations. That's, for example, if you are getting into the habit of holding bilingual conversations, you can register each day how many of them have you been able to hold, how much effort it's supposed to you, and how satisfied are you from the experience. So in this lesson, we've learned 3 resources: pole position, practicing bilingual conversations, and the success log. And in next lessons, we will keep learning more of them. Thank you for your attention.